Privet, Katila, ya, ni хорошо. Because today I wanted to say something that I think that we can all pretty much agree on. And that statement is that we live in a society. So I think that we all saw the latest movie, Joker, that came out about a month ago with Joaquin Phoenix. If I pronounced that correctly, I hope I did. Basically, it's about this mentally ill loner who feels isolated and alone and so detached from society that he just breaks down and becomes a criminal Joker. And it has been getting lots of good reviews, and people relate to it. And I mean, that's perhaps why it's the highest grossing R movie of all time. But I wanted to ask in this video, why do we relate to such a sad situation that the Joker was in? What makes this movie, so appealing and so relatable? So in this video, I wanted to examine an individual's role in society, the relationship between the individual and society, the social contract, and basically what are some ways we can build up that community trust and have a sense of homeliness and purpose in our societies. So something that you can pick up throughout my videos is that I continually say that you are not alone. That you are part of something greater than yourself. And despite what the libertarians would like you to believe, you are more than just an atomized individual. In fact, it is that radical individualism, that attachment to material goods and consumerism is what makes us feel so detached and so Joker-like. So what's the problem? Well, life expectancy in the United States has been going down in the last 3 years. The last time this has happened was when the influenza virus was ravaging the globe between the years of 1918 and 1920, and it killed between 50 to 100 million people worldwide. So this drop in life expectancy has been attributed to what they call the deaths of despair. Suicide rates have been rising and have increased by 33% since 1999. People overdosing and using drugs has skyrocketed, with over 60,000 Americans just last year alone dying from opioid overdoses, with drug overdosing in general increasing by over 115%, and way, way more being addicted, trying to take the pain away. Alcohol abuse has also been rising. It has risen by 37%. And, it's kind of weird because, the GDP is going up, the economy is recovering, and we're living in the richest times since forever. And yet people are joining gangs, shooting up schools, killing themselves, and abusing alcohol and other drugs. Depression has been rising to almost 10%. To almost 10% of our population has depression, and this has particularly hit teen girls, which for that group, 20% have some sort of depression. And mental illness of all stripes affects millions of people throughout the states. And I think we all know this, but there is something that's missing in our hearts, a sense of disillusionment, if you will, that we feel that we're just like a speck of nothing, just an atom in the grand scheme of things. I mean, if we don't matter, why make life the best it can be? Why help others? Why improve ourselves? I think it's that sense of nihilism that has taken over our lives that leads us to these destructive behaviors like drug use, casual sex, and just general antisocial behavior. And basically and just makes us feel that's why it's in that Joker type of feeling, we have no sense of identity, purpose, or any sort of attachment to our societies, and that's why we just feel so atomized. So how do we fix that? So first, what we need to do is we need to know what an individual's role is in society, and what is the society's duty to the individual. So why do we live in a society? So human beings create hierarchy, and that's just how it's always been. Before, even when we were hunter and gatherers, we had leaders and people had their own roles. Women stayed behind to take care of children, the men went out to hunt, etc. States, communities, communes, whatever it is, we identify with our people, our shared identity, culture, our history, and this common unity is what creates states. And so it's just people aren't just alone. We're social creatures, just a product of our evolution, and the social part is a product of our evolution, and we create states to ensure order and, protect our way of life. Because if not, someone's gonna swoop in and take what we have and destroy us. The state is inevitable. We create the state for many reasons. To have a sense of order in the chaos of the world, to help ensure we can live our lives with dignity, protect our lives and ensure tranquility in human affairs. That's why we have a judicial system to hash out disputes in a organized and clear fashion, and there's rules and such, instead of it just being an all-out anarchy shootout. It's pretty hard to start a business if you keep getting plundered by marauders, right? So we have a state for the preservation of our collective identity, and to do good things that, while alone, might seem impossible, but when we do things together, they can be easily done. Creating, infrastructure and such. So in short, the state is inevitable, just based off human nature and people being fundamentally unequal, and that unequalness leading to hierarchy. And because and then people are like, okay, so the state is just something that happens, but what is the duty of the state, right? The duty of the state is, and why do we join this? Why do we join this society? It's because we are part of a community. Because it's natural to prefer your own and just be part of a group. So the state is inevitable. What is society's role in an individual's life? What should society do for the mere individual? Society is supposed, first and foremost, to ensure order, as a bulwark against the chaos of anarchy and disorder. And, to ensure that we can live in peace and actually have a playing field where we can do our human affairs in peace without fear of invasion, without fear of a crime, and there are fair rules in place so we can conduct our lives in an orderly and peaceful fashion. Society, or the state, also preserves our group identity. We're not just an amorphous blob known as humanity. We're a unique people, and our state is built upon our culture, our values, our way of life. The state protects our identity. Another role of the state is to protect and foster an environment which can make man thrive. To help support families, create jobs, provide a solid welfare state to help the needy, and to help secure so-called rights like private property. You could autistically say that you have the divine right to private property all you want, but what actually gives you the right to private property is a strong, fair state that backs up your claim, if it is fair. So the state and society is here to uphold order, preserve the people's identity, and provide resources so that we can have a strong moral people who can thrive and unite our common destiny towards bigger goals. Think the moon landing and such. Now, despite all I said, the state isn't all-encompassing. The state isn't supposed to be in every aspect of your life. There's a balance between order and freedom. There is a thing to... there has to be some restrictions upon the state to ensure it doesn't become a totalitarian force or it gets subjugated by people for their own ends instead of a broader societal interest. So, that being said, what does the individual do in society? So, you are part of a lineage that stretches back for centuries, perhaps even millennia. This land that you are has been fought over, tilled, and worked on through countless hours of sweat and tears, and you are connected to this land, from your ancestors. And, they toiled and fought just so they can pass it on and have it be a little bit better for future generations. So to understand, you weren't just born to suffer. You were born with purpose and a country to identify with. What an individual gives to his country is his full strength, willpower, and duty, and his utmost loyalty. You're loyal to your nation and will defend it with your life if you must. You pay a bit in taxes so that the least well-off can find their purpose, and while the states give you education, quick transport, and healthcare, you can use these skills that the state gives you to give back to the nation. For example, you would use the free education maybe you use it to cure disease, and that helps everyone. You give back to your community because you are a part of it. The community helps you, and you give back. You need both. The community is as essential to you as your DNA is. And so, with rights comes responsibilities, and it is your responsibility to improve, preserve, and defend this land and country that you call home, because, like it or not, there is nowhere else like it in this world or in this universe. So what I've been talking about has been called there is a societal duty to the individual, and there's an individual responsibility to the society. This is called the social contract. And it's something I fundamentally believe in. The state is a natural expression of human sociology and biology because of, hierarchy and inequality, and the tendency to manage great large-scale societies of individuals. Society provides order, identity, rights, and stable ground for you to thrive and be better, and in return, it asks you to defend it, to pitch in, to help improve it, and preserve it for the next generation. With that being said, when the social cohesion falls apart, the benefits that come from this exchange start falling apart. When the individual stops caring about society, or society just doesn't caring about the individual, it gets taken over, or it just becomes this totalitarian state, the whole thing starts falling apart. And that's what we see happening across the Western world. We're more connected and than wealthy than ever before, yet we feel empty and atomized. Modern society makes us feel rootless, with no firm standing and disillusion to the world around us. So what's the antidote? To bring that sense of order, identity, purpose, and meaning back to our lives. We need the right institutions in place to help make us into better men and women, that goes beyond our mere animalistic primal senses. So first, we need a strong state that enforces an objective moral order. And this is a tough one, and to be honest, I'm not even sure how it can come about, but it must be done. It must be preached in churches, schools, throughout the whole nation. We must be unified under an objective moral code. We must dispel with the moral nihilism and relativism that plagues our nation. So as someone who was a nihilist, I can tell you firsthand that even though I felt oh so intellectual in thinking the world was meaningless, but, as someone who's come out of that, I will say with certainty it is almost impossible to live like that. I got out of my depression by embracing that higher calling, that objective moral code to always better myself. We need a society that expresses a clear right and wrong, and it isn't just a nihilist free-for-all. An example of something that happens in my life, for example, is that, so to be personal, I've been fighting pornography addiction, which is something I started watching since I was like 11. This has affected the way I talk with women, how I control, how to control and be pure with my sexuality. It's kind of destroyed fucked me up in a lot of ways. So I embarked on a mission to help me regulate my porn use and get rid of it. So was it objectively wrong of me to see porn? It doesn't matter, because I embraced a higher call. I said, hey, look, I think watching porn is wrong. It has destroyed me, and I need to better myself. I need a code. Yet no, it's not right of me to watch porn. And I strive to be something better, and and held myself to a higher standard, and I didn't just stoop around in my porn-induced stupor. The second thing goes hand in hand with the point above, is that we need a national revival of the church, or something akin to that. Churches used to be places where people can find spiritual guidance, provide a center where the community can come together, and its power allowed it to spread the objective moral message in our society. And it was a place to help the needy. It did everything the state was supposed to do, except on a more local level. In the society we want to build, we need churches, so that every community can have a firm moral guidance and purpose, and to strive towards something that's more than just your mere wealth and material goods. The next thing we need to do is we need to reestablish the family unit. I went over a lot of facts in my The Importance of Family video about why the outcomes of those growing up without a stable two-parent household has led to an explosion of social problems. So I'll regurgitate here. Family is the fundamental bedrock of civilization. It's where most of your growth and development comes from. Having men be men and women be women, and having these parents form a cohesive unit between masculine and feminine virtues that teaches the children right and wrong, how to be upstanding citizens, is how we're going to save our civilization, and help you actually too. Family's important. Having a family means everything. And I swear, if you have a loving family, then things will be good. I promise you. And it gives a stable foundation for yourself. So what we need to do is promote the family, have children, and be connected to your kin. And that is one of the strongest things you can do to dispel with this social atomization that plagues our lives. Fourth is creating a homogeneous society and understanding that you're part of something bigger than yourself. I explained this more in my latest video about the left wing case for nationalism. Basically, is that as every study shows that homogeneous societies are more trustful. They vote more. They give to charity more. There's cohesion goes up. So what we can do is have a society that we can relate to, that we can take pride in, that we can be a part of. Culture centers, an understanding of our history, pride in our achievements, and a certainty and connection to our land and community. And lastly, what we can do is give people a stake in their future. Be involved in your community. Create fulfilling and meaningful jobs that people can take pride in. Do hobbies that improve yourself and make you a better human being and individual. What we could also do is rewrite our worker laws to have a more better work-life balance, which allows mothers to stay at home through a child benefit, and fathers be able to balance between having to work all day and actually do something that betters themselves and their family. We should provide parks and recreation for the citizenry, create more livable and lively cities and towns through our architecture instead of just soulless, brutalist type that we got now. So all these things come together is something that we also could do as a society to help improve our society, and something you could do as an individual as well. So basically, family, faith, country, community, a stable job, a flexible life outside of work or school with hobbies and community involvement, all this can help us finally find our purpose and meaning in our lives again. And to conclude, society is inevitable due to human nature. The individual and society both need each other, like yin and yang, to support each other. And us seeing a breakdown between this union has led to the isolation of the individual, and thus our society is falling apart. And a few ways we can bring back that social cohesion is profess an objective moral order to strive towards, and values that create better individuals. A bring back of faith and church so we can strive towards things that go beyond the mere material. Having strong families to grow well-rounded children and have our minds focused on the long-term health of our civilization and our lives, and that gives us a sense of homeliness and stability. We also, having a country we can take pride in, where we don't feel like strangers, where we can take a firm stand for our identity, our culture, and our history, and that the land that we stand on, we are connected to. And the state should also rework our work laws to give people a socially useful job that they can take pride in and give back to society. But also, we should also rework our work-life balance so that we aren't as consumed with work. Something we could do is like paid vacation or increasing the minimum wage and such like that, and maybe less work hours and such. And this would ensure mothers can stay at home and such. Altogether, these things can finally make us proclaim that yes, we live in a society. So that was the video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this Joker-esque video. Well, I guess it wasn't really Joker's, but I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it really much, give it a thumbs up and comment what you guys thought, and be sure to share it around with your friends and whoever else you want to share it with. And if you guys really liked what I did, be sure to check out my Patreon on my channel and chip in a little bit, and I'll shout you guys out at the end of every video. Because so far there's been no Patreon, so there's never been really shouting out. But if I get one, then I'll start shouting out or have you in the end of my video. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Like, favorite, subscribe, and all that. And aim high, wander on, from America with Russian love.